The hell day is it today? It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday here at the watch party. It's only the second day in the week, and I don't know what the hell day it is. Isn't that crazy? I think it's pretty indicative. I wasn't going to tell you guys this. First of all, hey everyone. Hi. Jumped into the chat for a quick second. Miss Chivos Dragon. Yes, I was waiting on you. Glad you're here. Also, Electica Design. Eclectica Design, I think. Who knows? I mess up names all the time, especially handles and stuff. What's going on, everyone? Peace to you as well. Jason Stanley, 1930. And of course, Ma, I see you in here to what I was going to ramble about. I'm a little like all over the place lately. This week, it's only been the second day, as you can tell. I'm a little all over the place. I think I'm burnt out. I think I'm a little tired. I think I'm tired of all this madness. I think that might be my problem. But I still sit my ass in front of a computer, read all these articles, check out what everyone is saying, trying to decipher where the lies are and where the truth may be, according to what I've seen. And I'm the brain just can take so much. So as we go through the rest of this week, as you guys saw yesterday, I was on TDR. John is not going to be here the rest of the week. I have today and tomorrow before then, also Thursday, Friday. You guys get a little bit of throwback versions of things I would always do. Some compilations, some storytelling based off of the videos of the folks that say those things. Will be uploaded also on Thursday, Thanksgiving, and Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, for you guys to check out as well. So there will be some content. I just won't be here for those last 2 days to do the live stream. So programming note that I never do. I'm not used to doing programming notes, but no live streams Thursday and Friday of this week. Maybe I can get a little bit of chill time. My mother always tells me to get some sleep, and come on, bro, come on. Crazy. What's sleep? You guys kidding me? But since I've talked enough, I think maybe we should go ahead and get started. I have a little bit of frustrations as well. Most days when big news happens, something breaks, something changes, it all goes down right around the time that I'm doing this stream or right when I end it. And I'm like, damn it. Now it's going to be like a full day late before I get to it. But I feel like you guys hang on with me. I get a chance to talk about the things that went down. And one of those things that went down yesterday while I was talking about something else completely different was James Comey and Letitia James, two of the, lawfare style charges that Donald Trump's Department of Justice then put on these two folks because he doesn't like them. Mostly because, they've Letitia James got his ass busted on things. So the upset nature of his approach to trying to get some revenge on everyone is so based in his stupidity that he doesn't even know how to really do it. Either the folks that he appointed to do it as well. So as you guys were telling me yesterday, those charges got dropped because of the way they handled it partially. And even if it went further than that, it still probably would have. But James Comey was the first to talk about it. I want to show you guys what it is that he said in response. It's very similar to the video that he put out when he was responding to them charging him in the first place. I thought it was the same one at first until I actually heard it. Here it is.
I'm grateful that the court ended the case against me, which was a prosecution based on malevolence and incompetence, and a reflection of what the Department of Justice has become under Donald Trump, which is heartbreaking. But I was also inspired by the example of the career people who refused to be part of this travesty. It cost some of them their jobs, which is painful, but it preserved their integrity, which is beyond price. And I know they will serve again. I was very lucky that some of the best lawyers in America stepped forward to represent me. I hope they serve as an example to more and more lawyers, especially at some of the big firms, to participate in protecting our liberty, protecting the rule of law. And my family and friends were always with me, and luckily for me, include some of those great lawyers. This case mattered to me personally, obviously, but it matters most because a message has to be sent that the President of the United States cannot use the Department of Justice to target his political enemies. I don't care what your politics are, you have to see that as fundamentally un-American and a threat to the rule of law that keeps all of us free. I know that Donald Trump will probably come after me again, and my attitude is going to be the same. I'm innocent, I am not afraid, and I believe in an independent federal judiciary, the gift from our founders that protects us from a would-be tyrant. When I was a kid, my parents would wake us up for school every morning by snapping open the shades and saying, "Time to rise and shine and show the world what you're made of." Well, it's that time, America. It's time to stand up and show the fools who would frighten us, who would divide us, that we're made of stronger stuff, that we believe in the rule of law, that we believe in the importance of doing things by the law. So stand tall, shine, and keep the faith.
James Comey, and the best way that James Comey's ass can do is high stepping around about what happened here as far as these cases were dropped and dismissed. Rise and shine, folks. Called these guys fools, called a would-be tyrant of the president of the United States. He went in as far as much excitement as he could build there. He's apparently relieved based off of this, but at the same time, he was pointing out how he always had faith in the fact that things would go the way that they should go. Cool. I do see some people still talking about how they're upset about his previous interactions and the way that he kind of assisted Donald Trump in the first place, which actually goes to the point of what it is that Donald Trump is doing. This guy helped his ass out, and he went after him because of then afterwards Donald Trump getting caught up in the dragnet of the criminal activity that he's always involved in. So he goes after James Comey, who honestly wasn't all that rough on him. But that really speaks to his, his vengeful energy and attitude and his absolute disagreement with normal law and order in this country. So let's jump to the way that Fox News talked about it, because it's always fun to see them report this type of news that they kind of don't want to report.
Please forgive me, but we have some breaking news. We'll come right back. A Fox News alert. The case against former FBI Director James Comey is getting dismissed. The judge ruling the appointment of interim U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan violated the Constitution. The judge also criticized the DOJ for allowing an FBI agent who viewed Comey's privileged materials to testify to the grand jury. Now, the judge also tossed the case against Letitia James. Please forgive me.
Damn, it's like 2 strikes in one day for these guys. There wasn't much excitement on the couch there in the panel from Fox News. Both Letitia James and James Comey cases dismissed. But there's a little couple more details as far as the differences between these two and the potential of what is that might happen afterwards. Kyle Cheney is a senior legal affairs reporter for Politico, and he always talks about some of these things, goes through in depth the nature of a lot of these cases and things that are happening. So I want to show you guys what it is that he said that shows what it is that we could see later. So he says the criminal cases against both Comey and Letitia James are gone. Wow. A federal judge ruled that the appointment of Lindsay Halligan as the lead prosecutor was illegal. DOJ could try again, but there are other headwinds. Some of those being, we'll get more details of, but some of those being how even originally when they were going after James Comey, there was a statute of limitations that was expiring. There's a number of 120 days of appointing someone in these positions, which they went past in the first place. I believe when they went and got Lindsay Halligan, when their original guy they put in place said, "This is crazy, bro. I'm not doing this." Here's more from Kyle Cheney. Judge Curie, who made this decision, basically slams the door on re-indicting Comey here. She notes that, quote, "There's no legitimate peg to extend the expired September 30th statute of limitations. The window for James, though, is a little bit wider." So that is the difference in those two particular cases, which, again, more information about Letitia James and what is that she said, and also what is it they're looking to continue to come after her for if they choose to go that route. But I'm not sure if you guys were following as this was falling apart. I saw some of it falling apart like a week or two ago. I had some of these interactions and descriptions ready, and I said, you know what? I'm going to hold on this first, because I'm going to wait until this whole thing falls apart before I really let you guys know what it is that Lindsay Halligan was up to and how everyone kind of saw the writing on the wall that this wasn't going to get all that far. Here's CNN's Caitlin Collins talking about Lindsay Halligan's issues.
Tonight, the Justice Department is defending its handling of those grand jury proceedings against the former FBI Director James Comey after the prosecutor who brought the case made a pretty stunning admission inside court to the judge today that the full grand jury never actually reviewed the final indictment against Comey, which accuses him of lying to Congress. There was silence in the federal courtroom as Lindsay Halligan, who had never prosecuted a case before she became this district's top federal prosecutor in September, told the judge that she didn't present the new indictment to the grand jury after it declined to approve one of the 3 counts. The second and final indictment was simply altered to reflect the remaining charges and sent straight to the grand jury's foreperson to sign instead. Now, Comey's lawyer seized on that revelation in court today, arguing that it means there is, quote, no indictment here. The Justice Department, though, has been defending Lindsay Halligan, and in a new filing tonight, they write that the U.S. attorney did not misstate the law, the grand jury was not misled, and the transcript shows a routine, regular presentation of the indictment.
What? It goes back to the whole theme here. We just saw and heard exactly what is that happened in court, how Lindsay Halligan screwed the whole thing up because she doesn't know what the hell she's doing. It's kind of not even her fault. She doesn't know what she's doing. So in messing that whole thing up, even afterwards, the government, Donald Trump's administration, still talking about nothing was done wrong. I'm not sure what you're talking about. The case was only thrown the F out. Why would anyone claim that something was done wrong? Everything was done on the up and up. Here's someone else that actually knows what they're talking about. Harry Littman explained the situation in the court, also with Caitlin Collins here, and the embarrassing nature of what is it could happen. You know, like if you're standing in front of someone and you're trying to make a presentation and you have nothing in your brain, and then the heat starts running over your head, and the embarrassment hits your soul. Except these folks don't have souls. They probably never felt any shame nor embarrassment. Here's Harry Littman talking about it.
As a matter of prosecutorial practice, a huge deal. It was a sort of silent gasp in the courtroom. No one had ever heard of this. The magistrate, 2 days ago, had said this would be uncharted territory. When you look at what the DOJ has filed tonight, there's a chance, based on the law, that they can wriggle out of it. But I'll tell you what's a really big deal, and you just cited it when the DOJ said she didn't make any misstatements to the jury, to the grand jury, because we know she did, at least the magistrate said so, about some really important matters.
So explain to those of us who didn't go to law school why that is such a big deal, the way she handled that instead.
Because you have a grand jury being misinformed about the Fifth Amendment rights of Jim Comey. And also, she said, oh, even if there's not enough here, we've got other stuff. But the grand jury, of course, must indict based only on what they hear from her. And why that really matters, Caitlin, is because the law says that means you can throw out the indictment with prejudice unless they can show it was harmless beyond a reasonable doubt.
Oh, they threw it out. So when you see the situation that happened in court, at least according to what Harry Littman was talking about there's like a hushed gasp and silence over the court. I guess it's a pretty big deal. I'm no attorney. I know about as much as Lindsay Halligan knows about these types of things. But they just send her ass in there. I really do wonder, though, what's the plan? Like, they know she doesn't know what she's doing. They know that they threw her in there because the original guy that he appointed there out in Virginia to carry out this, revenge case said, hell no. They know all of this. It's just, it's like sloppy authoritarianism. I mean, I guess I haven't experienced it directly in a country that I live in to see exactly how clean and like fine, refined authoritarianism works. But I could have always guessed that Donald Trump's dumbass doesn't have any idea how even to do that well, even though he's a career-long criminal who thinks everyone should do everything for him, despite his complete incompetence on things. One more, because I liked the way that this attorney, Elise Adamson, talked about all of the issues that Lindsay Halligan had in court and the way that they bungled this.
Yeah, Audie, we just spoke about this a couple of days ago. I told you that I thought the case was a choose-your-own-adventure of procedural errors, and here we are, because this was a huge one. And as we also discussed, Halligan being appointed after the 120 days of the interim appointment had been exceeded was a huge problem. And indeed, the court agreed that she wasn't lawfully appointed. And the problem here is that Halligan did everything on her own. And so now these indictments can't stand. Usually DOJ follows proper process and procedure. And now we see what happens when DOJ attempts to do an end run around those procedures. The cases have now been dismissed and probably delivered a humiliating defeat to the Trump administration.
Humiliating, bro. Just another one. let's keep the track record in the forefront of our minds. I mentioned it last week as well, too, maybe it was the week before. It doesn't matter. It keeps happening. They keep talking about how well they do in court. I think it was actually specifically Howard Lutnick talking about their chances for the Supreme Court to rule in their favor when it comes to these tariff cases. He says, we win in court. We're ready in court. Bro, you guys never ever win in court, even with someone who's actually an attorney and not named Lindsay Halligan, who doesn't know what they're doing. They just say everything is going to go well, and they believe that enough people will think, even after we see the results, that everything somehow went well. Here's another flashback. It went a little even further back. When the questions started being asked about Lindsay Halligan, this was Pam Bondi's defense.
Around the country. The Comey indictment's going to be just fine. I've also signed on to that, backing up what Lindsay Halligan did because they're coming after her. I read all the transcripts. She's doing a great job. All of our U.S. attorneys are.
The latest court filings, to me, as in layman, extremely damning as it relates to James Comey. And
around the country.
It's weird. Like, the whole purpose here on Fox News and other places like this is not to acknowledge reality. So Pam Bondi said, everything looks great. I have full and utter confidence in Lindsay Halligan. Sean Hannity knows that that's crazy. He knows. He understands the situation, but the point is to try and smooth over and make really bad decisions and incompetence look like it's something good. So yes, I've looked over this. Looks like they really got him nailed down. So after this happened, I didn't watch Sean Hannity last night. I'm not sure if he came forward and said, I was wrong. I'm not sure how I missed the fact that Lindsay Halligan had no clue what she was doing would result in them dropping these cases. I didn't know how I didn't see it coming. Maybe I should stop talking about these things. Maybe I shouldn't be asking a corrupt Pam Bondi who's doing the bidding of Donald Trump whether or not she has confidence in it, knowing that if she says she has no confidence in it, Donald Trump is going to throw some ketchup against the wall while he's taking a shit on the porta potty and then tweet out some more things about how much of an incompetent person Pam Bondi is. They're afraid of that old rickety guy who has a crazy attitude in the White House. So let me show you Lindsay Halligan in the form of Lindsay Halligan. She wasn't even talking about the cases here. This is from also a few weeks before that. This is who she is. I wonder if this is the way she spoke in court when she was trying to get these charges to come down that eventually got tossed out. Here she is talking about our museums and the enslavement areas of those museums and how she doesn't want those there anymore.
Yep, I think the fact that we had our country was involved in slavery is awful. No one thinks otherwise. But what I saw when I was going through the museums personally was an overemphasis on slavery. Mm-hmm. And I think there should be more of an overemphasis on how far we've come since slavery. Our country is a country of progress, and it's the greatest country in the world. And we should be able to take our kids, our students through the Smithsonian and feel proud when we leave. There's a lot of history to our country, both positive and negative, but we need to keep moving forward. We can't just keep focusing on the negative. All it does is divide us, and we really need to unite the country and focus on all the positive as we approach America's 250th birthday. Yep.
Sometimes I feel like I shouldn't respond to the actual words and the points that are being made by someone so ridiculous as this, but just really fast. If learning about the negative points of our history in this country divides people, the only way it divides them if there's people who don't want to hear about it or don't want to acknowledge it or don't want to change those things that are the dirty, disgusting aspects of our history. Why would learning from your mistakes, which they weren't mistakes, learning from your policies, direct policies to enslave people and use them to grow your entire country's wealth, if doing that divides people, the people that are divided on it and don't like it are people like you who don't know how to walk into a courtroom and discuss what it is that they're doing. It's similar to how she couldn't even understand how she could break that whole thing down. There should be an overemphasis, she said, on how far we've come, even though there's an overemphasis on enslavement. I guess that's also negative too, right? Overemphasize something, whatever. She's dumb. All right. So as I mentioned, back into this. Letitia James is the other name outside of James Comey and the other case that was dropped. As was mentioned in that earlier breakdown from Kyle Cheney, there is a little bit difference. There's more room there for Letitia James. In them talking about on Fox News again about Letitia James's statement, about how her case was also dropped. They don't like hearing that from her, because that's Letitia James. That's public enemy number one. She got Donald Trump's ass. Watch Jonathan Turley try and well, he explained at least where the openings are, but he definitely doesn't like her attitude.
So we just got this statement in from Letitia James, who said, "I'm heartened by today's victory and grateful for the prayers and support I've received from around the country. I remain fearless in the face of these baseless charges as I continue fighting for New Yorkers every single day." Well, I'm not sure if that will stand if the DOJ finds a way to cure these charges and or the situation and refile the charges. But what would they need to do, Professor, to cure this problem?
Well, first of all, Letitia James might be celebrating a tad too early. The problems here are not with the charges themselves, but essentially with the cop, or in this case, the prosecutor. So the court is not saying that she was innocent of these charges. The court is simply saying that the person who signed off on the charges didn't have authority to do that. So the obvious thing here is to get someone who is lawfully in a position to perform this role. Usually after 120 days, the district court appoints someone as the replacement. They're going to have to work this one out. It's rather uncharted territory here to make sure that the next person who signs is going to be beyond these types of questions.
The next person that signs is going to have to be beyond these questions. Do you know how they're ignoring the part about how they assigned someone who's not beyond these questions? They assigned an incompetent person who has no idea what they're doing. And then, so if you say that, you have to ask the next question, or at least your brain has to think, why is the president of the United States assigning people who aren't beyond these kinds of stretches? And why does he keep assigning incompetent people who don't know what they're doing? And the question, even from, I think, John Roberts, I can't remember, I think that's his name. What do they need to do to cure these charges? Maybe they should stop pushing forward these empty charges. Everything's based in Donald Trump's energies, his emotions, and his desire for some kind of like retribution against people busting his criminal ass. That's all he's about. But we need to go along with the criminal to make sure that we believe his side of the story. And how can they fix this? They can't fix it. They suck at this. Matter of fact, even outside of that, even if they got past all this thing, if someone had clued old Lindsay Halligan in on how to go through normal procedures in a courtroom, they still have issues that they have to deal with. So, as I always mention, this is a presentation presidency. They're upset when things make them look bad. There's no actual, actions behind this. There's no substance to the things that they do and they say. They're upset when things make them look bad, because it's all about this fake facade and alternate reality that they're pitching to folks. So they don't like that Letitia James celebrated too early. That makes us look bad. What's she supposed to do after you drop the charges? Go, well, I'm guilty, so I don't know why they dropped those charges. Please, they dropped the charges. Is she supposed not to talk about that? Caroline Levitt's mad that Comey did the same thing.
James Comey responding to a federal judge saying that the charges against him and against Letitia James will be dropped.
I'm grateful that the court ended the case against me, which was a prosecution based on malevolence and incompetence, and a reflection of what the Department of Justice has become under Donald Trump.
Well, what I will say is that everybody knows that James Comey lied to Congress. It's as clear as day. And this judge took an unprecedented action to throw these cases out to shield James Comey and Letitia James from accountability based on a technical ruling. And the administration disagrees with that technical ruling. We believe the attorney in this case, Lindsay Halligan, is not only extremely qualified for this position, but she was in fact legally appointed. And I know the Department of Justice will be appealing this in very short order. So maybe James Comey should pump the brakes on his victory lap.
It's the same energy and it's the same approach. Maybe they should stop celebrating so early. This guy in the White House celebrates his losses in court and claims that he won them. That's their problem. Outside of sucking at this, their problem is that being embarrassed by the degree to which, they suck at this. Let's move on to something else. That's that. We'll see if they go further. They might come back around and try and circle back on Letitia James because they really, really don't like her. It'll be fun to watch that happen again, because the main thing that we saw from both of these cases that many actual people who know what they're talking about pointed out was that even if they get to trial, they can pretty much shut it down with this retribution degree to which Donald Trump already exposed himself. Did we forget about that? Let's move on. I think I saw one of you guys mention Senator Kelly is being investigated by the Department of Defense. I mean, the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. And boy, are they upset. What they're upset about is, that military folks were told through a video to understand that they don't have to follow illegal, unlawful orders from an illegal, unlawful despot in the White House. Let's go.
Go ahead.
They can't answer the question, Martha, because there is no answer. They can't identify illegal orders because there are no illegal orders. But they were suggesting, again, to the 1.3 million active duty service members in the military today that if you think an order is illegal, you don't have to follow it. Actually, that's against the Uniform Code of Military Justice. It explicitly states, and I want to read this language precisely, that service members have a legal obligation under the U.S. UCMJ to obey lawful orders, and that orders are presumed to be lawful. You can't have a soldier out on the battlefield or conducting a classified order questioning whether that order is lawful or whether they should follow through. There must be a chain of command in our military, and Republicans and Democrats for decades, since the beginning of our country, have always respected that until now, when the Democrat Party has been completely overtaken by Trump derangement syndrome, and now we have these deranged statements from sitting members of Congress.
Go ahead.
You can't have a soldier who's conducting some kind of a mission order a question whether or not that order is lawful or not. They have to be brainless. That's what Caroline Levitt says. That's the approach they want. These guys who made this video, these folks, men and women who made this video, they have no direct authority over the military. They're telling them, reminding them what their oath is. These guys are against the oath that these military, active service duty military folks were sworn an oath to. They're against them following it. So now that it's been pretty much cleared up that they're upset because of illegal orders or what it is that they're looking to not follow anymore, they're going after some of those folks as the next distraction to get away from people really digging into some of those illegal orders, which I'm going to get to in a second. Here's who they're going after.
The Pentagon opening a misconduct investigation into Arizona Democratic Senator Mark Kelly for his role in this video posted online last week.
We want to speak directly to members of the military.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth calling the video, quote, despicable, reckless, and false, after Kelly and 5 other Democratic lawmakers who all served in the military or intelligence urged service members not to follow unlawful orders, infuriating President Trump.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law or our Constitution.
The Defense Department now saying its probe could lead to the retired Navy captain and astronaut Kelly being recalled to active duty for a court-martial. The Pentagon has not outlined possible charges.
We just talked about Lindsay Halligan screwing that whole case up against James Comey and Letitia James. I mean, honestly, she had no choice because it was a case brought from Donald Trump. So shifting over to this, now Pete Hegseth and his Department of War wants to look into Senator Mark Kelly for his part in that whole thing. Just Mark Kelly. Here's the way Pete Hegseth's dumbass put it. He said the video made by the seditious 6 was despicable, reckless, and false. Encouraging our warriors to ignore the orders of their commanders undermines every aspect of good order and discipline. Their foolish screed sows doubt and confusion, which only puts our warriors in danger. So he named these folks. 5 of the 6 individuals in that video do not fall under Department of War jurisdiction. 1 is CIA, 4 are former military, but not retired. So they are no longer subject to UCMJ. However, here's where Mark Kelly comes in. Mark Kelly, retired Navy commander, is still subject to UCMJ, and he knows that. So they're coming after highly decorated veteran astronaut Mark Kelly, senator on the Democratic side, whose wife, don't forget, Gabby Giffords, was also shot in Arizona, nearly killed and survived, and has had this whole story of coming back from. And as this drunk ass is the Department of War secretary, talks about how the seditious six, to bounce off of what Donald Trump was saying, which is the whole problem when people came forward, was this threat on these folks' lives is based on their rhetoric and the way they're trying to direct, their gang members in the streets with red hats to come and attack people. So he goes on with that same line, the seditious six. I guess they're looking to intimidate folks like Mark Kelly, but he responded multiple ways. Here's one of them and talking on TV about this.
Rachel, I've had a missile blow up next to my airplane. I've been shot down, nearly shot down multiple times. I've flown a rocket ship into space 4 times, built by the lowest bidder. And my wife, Gabby Giffords, meeting with her constituents, shot in the head, 6 people killed around her. A horrific thing. She spent 6 months in the hospital. We know what political violence is, and we know what causes it too. The statements that Donald Trump made is insightful, incites others. He's got millions of supporters. People listen to what he says more so than anybody else in the country. And he should be careful with his words. But I'm not going to be silenced here. Is it stressful? I've been stressed by, things more important than Donald Trump trying to intimidate me into shutting my mouth and not doing my job. He didn't like what I said. I'm going to show up for work every day, support the Constitution, do my job, hold this administration accountable, hold this president accountable when he is out of line. That's the responsibility of every U.S. senator and every member of Congress. He's not going to silence us.
Well, we already know that's the plan. Just again, their arguments never hold any water. They never win these debates. They go into intimidation and trying to silence folks as their next line. He also posted, Mark Kelly did, directly onto his X account as well about this. It's a little bit longer, but I just wanted to show down near the bottom of it, he also posted the fact that he's a decorated veteran, as I think many people already know. And this is the guy that they're still considering they're going to go after. I asked the same question that I asked when they lost that case with James Comey and Letitia James. What's the plan here? What do you think is going to come out of this? You go and court-martial Mark Kelly, bring him in front of folks, try and embarrass and all that. But what it'll do is actually raise his stock, allow more people to realize how much of a complete dictator this guy is in the White House, based on the same thing that they're trying to twist the wording on, to act like they're talking about disobeying lawful orders. The problem is this guy doesn't have any lawful orders. He's Donald Trump. He's a criminal, a 34-time felon. They don't like for anyone to be reminded of that. But anyway, Mark Kelly went into this extensive post about how he's been through a lot of these things he's experienced and his expertise, but also how he's not going to be intimidated by them. It was a little bit more, I think, of a classy approach, but I still enjoyed the way Ruben Gallego responded to it as well. He's also his fellow senator from Arizona. He didn't have as tight of a way to talk about this. Ruben Gallego likes to cuss.
This is fucking insane. We should all point out how fucking insane this is. Hey, this is Ruben Gallego. I'm traveling through Arizona right now, and I just received the news that the Department of Defense is starting an investigation against my seatmate, Mark Kelly. This is fucking insane. We should all point out how fucking insane this is. And, these guys are trying to say that they're not acting like fascists. They're not trying to give as much power to this president as a king, and they should stop acting like it. Mark Kelly's a patriot. There's no reason why they're going after him. He was doing his duty and just reminding people about their rights as service members. And, Secretary Hegseth, all these guys, fuck you guys. You're not going to be able to scare us. We have a right to defend the Constitution of the United States. We have a right to tell other service members that they have a right to ignore illegal orders, and you're not going to be able to intimidate us. This is fucking insane.
I feel like Ruben Gallego thinks it's fucking insane. He did have a lot of choice words for this president, and also specifically Pete Hegseth, as he's gone down this road as well too. So he was driving through Arizona. Maybe he was getting to the set because I saw him in, I think, a similar outfit. Let me double check. It's the same outfit. This guy showed up on CNN. Ruben Gallego, Democratic senator, showed up there to also talk again about the question that's being asked. And it started with Caroline Levitt specifically in this story now, but they've all been doing it since the very first time this came forward. And I think it was Martha McCollum or someone on Fox News talking about this as well. They said, where is the illegal orders? And I'm trying to figure out why no one's pointing out all the illegal orders and all the things this guy's been talking about. Instead, we go back to, well, we're talking about when they become legal orders. He's got a bunch of illegal orders, and I'm finally glad that Ruben Gallego was first asked and then actually gave the answer that's right in front of everyone's face.
Well, look, I think a lot of them, and I certainly have heard from members of the military that are concerned about what's happening. And also, you're just seeing things that aren't very normal. You have the Marines who are walking around Los Angeles. You have National Guardsmen coming from different states into other states, even though those governors did not request that. You have a politicization of the military that has never been seen before until this president has done it. And then you also hear the president saying things that are on its face illegal. And let's not forget the fact that they're droning and killing people in the middle of the Venezuela, outside the coast of Venezuela, without declaring war and or giving us enough information for us to make a determination if they're even justified attacks. So what they're trying to say, and what many of us are trying to say, is remind people that, you serve the Constitution of the United States. And if you feel that there's an illegal order, it is not your right to have to, you do not feel like you have to follow those illegal orders. Follow what you know of to your oath to the Constitution of the United States first.
I believe Gallego was also retired Marine. Don't quote me on it. I feel like I saw that in passing somewhere, but definitely a veteran, because he was also asked why he wasn't on that video, and he just didn't have the time. But again, I'm finally glad he said it, though. I've been trying to figure out why no one's pointing out the fact that we've been talking about for a month or and a half or so, how they've been blowing up people's boats in the Caribbean waters near Venezuela, claiming that they're drug boats and they're charging towards the United States of America with absolutely no proof, with no approach, no arrests, no adjudication, none of that. Just blowing people up and said, trust me, believe me, bro. I tell the truth all the time. I killed them. Matter of fact, I killed them and I'm saving Americans from drugs. It's pretty obvious. Also, the one of the commanders who's been around forever retired because Pete Hegseth was threatened to fire him because he wasn't going to continue to carry out those same illegal orders, war crimes. And there's no war, just killing people and claiming and putting it up there like it's some kind of like murder porn to kill people. That's an illegal order. People are dead because of it. I'm not sure why we're not pointing it out. That's why they put forward that video, because there have been illegal orders already put out there. But that's Ruben Gallego. He's a Democrat. You're not supposed to believe him. Maybe Rand Paul. He was on Sunday shows. I know he kisses Donald Trump's ass a little bit too, but in this case, he didn't.
A lot to get to, but on this concern about political violence or angry rhetoric, I know the president himself has survived these 2 attempts on his life. You've talked to us about those risks to him. And then we had this killing of Charlie Kirk just a few months ago. Is the president holding himself to the same standard that he is asking of others when it comes to dialing back dangerous rhetoric?
Everybody knows that the president is famous for his unfiltered social media. But if you take at face value the idea that calling your opponents traitors and then specifically saying that it warrants the death penalty is reckless, inappropriate, irresponsible. There are a number of other ways to describe it, but it's not something that is helping the country heal wounds. I think it stirs things up, and really, I think we can do better.
A lot to get.
I have another question for Rand Paul, because he said the right thing, right? It's reckless. It stirs things up, doesn't heal wounds. It's more divisive, division in the country. He understands the violence that could be around it. That's where the question even started with, in talking about Donald Trump and his, assassination attempts. Anyways, but if it's all that, as Rand Paul said, what's the next step, Rand? If you really believe it, if you're saying it not just to make yourself look like you're not as crazy as Donald Trump is, and you only follow him like 78% of the time, I wonder if there's something brought forward, if if Congress brings forward impeachment proceedings, are you going to vote in favor because you say he's dangerous? You say he's stoking all this. Isn't it worth it to get a despot out of the White House that's trying to get people killed, specifically his political enemies in his brain? Because, they say things like follow the rule of law. That's what he's against, He's for fascism and he's against the rule of law. Like, he's openly talking about it. Matter of fact, he openly talked about it right after Rand Paul said that. I mean, he posted about it. He says, whatever happened to Senator, for some reason he put Senator in quotes, Senator Rand Paul. He was never great, but he went really bad. I got him elected twice in the great Commonwealth of Kentucky, but he just never votes positively for the Republican Party. He's a nasty little guy. Much like Congressman, why is that in quotes? Thomas Massey, aka Rand Paul Jr., also of Kentucky, which I won 3 times in massive landslides. A sick wacko who refuses to vote for our great Republican Party, MAGA, or America First. It's really weird. Is Rand Paul going to respond like actionably? I don't give a shit if he goes on Twitter and posts, or if he goes on another news program and says, this is really weird, out of pocket. What you should probably do is bring forward something to get rid of the guy who continues to stoke this kind of hate and division, because that's what he's doing. That's what he's about. That's who he is. He's a violent criminal in the White House. And you acknowledge it 50% of the way. And what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? I mean, Representative Al Green, during this, I think it was not even the State of the Nation, because I don't think he gets that at the beginning. But right as soon as Donald Trump came into office, Al Green stood up and said, we're going to start filing impeachment proceedings, like in the first couple weeks of this guy's tenure here. And everyone thinks he's crazy. When is someone going to actually go to the next step of doing something about this? Because everyone understands that this guy is dangerous. Everyone understands that this guy is about to start wars because he's trying to cover up more things about his child sex trafficking involvement, which, by the way, I read a little bit into what it is that there was a Democratic congresswoman talked about that she saw in those Epstein release files and cases. It's pretty bad, bro. In fact, I'm gonna read it tomorrow. So since he's trying to run from all the devastating, horrific, disgusting, illegal activity that his entire life has entailed, when are you going to do something about it? I'm so tired of these guys just talking. Marjorie Taylor Greene did a lot of good talking, and then she ran her ass out of Congress because she's never going to do anything about it. Who's going to do something about this guy? Jeez, I'm so tired of that. So the guys who do the right thing, like, oh, let's praise Rand Paul because he said 5 things right. When are you going to do it? He's still sitting in the White House destroying things. What difference does it make whether or not you say, he's kind of not that great? Let's move on. Sorry. It's annoying. It's so annoying. Let's move on. Do you guys remember in Chicago, as Trump's Gestapo invaded people in the streets and started running into cars? There was a particular instance of this one woman who was rammed by Border Patrol, ICE agents, was shot at, in fact, was shot, and they still said that she's some kind of domestic terrorist. They arrested her and did all this stuff. She got a chance to tell her story in the aftermath of it over on CNN. It's pretty bad what she went through.
Can I show them?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was shot in my arm right here.
Oh, it's pausing. Here we go. Let's start out.
Can I show them?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was shot in my arm right here, and then I went through my tricep, and then it grazed the side of my chest.
Reminders of what could have been Marymar Martinez's last day. October 4th, the Department of Homeland Security claimed she rammed a Border Patrol agent's vehicle in Chicago with her car before that agent got out and shot her multiple times. She says she was on her way to donate clothes until she saw what appeared to be federal agents, already becoming a familiar sight in Chicago's neighborhoods.
So I started beeping my horn. As a Mexican-American, first-generation USA citizen, I felt it was my responsibility to let my neighborhood know that ICE agents were near.
They turned out to be Border Patrol.
So I just got next to them and I was like, get out of here. And I was just like honking.
That's when she says they sideswiped her, contradicting Border Patrol's narrative.
They immediately stopped. I gotta go somewhere safe. I went to my furthest left, make sure that I wasn't gonna hit them. As I was passing them, they started shooting at me through the side.
The agent got out of his vehicle and shot Martinez 5 times.
It feels like it's still top of mind for you, right?
It's painful. Like just to like talk about it, it's like think about it, like just me remembering like what happened that day. It's like trauma.
Some woman survived a terror attack from Donald Trump's Border Patrol officers who decided to run her off the road and then get to shooting her. You saw the bullet wound in her arm and how it grazed her chest that she pointed out, and she survived. He was trying to kill her. He was looking to murder an innocent woman. So now that she has a chance to talk about it and show the extent to which they went to try and murder her, let's not sugarcoat it. Mention it every time. There was no official act here. There was no law that they were looking to follow. They're a criminal gang in the streets looking to murder people based off of the fact that they don't like she's blowing her horn and trying to notify people that there's a roving violent gang rolling through the streets. That's illegal somehow. And also their tactics for trying to pull people over gets much worse, which I'm gonna get into a second. But even the guy who got to shooting, he wasn't done talking about how wonderful he feels about it.
She was charged with forcibly assaulting and resisting or impeding a border agent and labeled a domestic terrorist by the Department of Homeland Security. And then, over a month later, in what became a critical court hearing, the agent who shot her, Charles Exum, testified the collision was more of a hit, not rammed. Then,
these text messages came out where he appeared to be bragging about shooting you. Read it, 5 shots, 7 holes, put that in your book, boys. You were sitting right there.
What type of agent brags about it? This is what the administration has out in the street.
For 15 years, I was a federal prosecutor. I worked every day with FBI, DEA, DHS. I have never come across an agent like that. And it's something that's embarrassing to me as a former federal prosecutor.
So some of them was talking about Rand Paul and how he's not doing anything actionable. When are we going to do something? I mean, maybe there's things moving. I think I saw something that Karen Bass in LA, the mayor of LA, is doing after they've raided through that city, destroyed many people's lives as well, too. When are we going to do something about the fact this guy just tried to murder someone and then bragged about it? Which, here's more of an explanation to what he said as the reasons why he was bragging about it with his sorry ass. In a court hearing weeks earlier, it was revealed that Exum, that guy who shot her, bragged about it, as we just heard. The Chicago Tribune reported that this 23-year veteran of Border Patrol also texted that group a link to a news article about the shooting and said, read it. I fired 5 shots and had 7 holes. Put that in your books, as we just heard. In his court testimony, though, on November 5th, Exum, who is based in Maine, described the circle of fellow agents that he chatted with as a sort of support group for relieving stress. And what did you mean by read it, 5 shots, is what the defense attorney asked. Why are you pointing that fact out? He says, I'm a firearms instructor and I take pride in my shooting skills. You take pride in your shooting skills? The attorney asked. He goes, that's correct. Not sure if you saw how close Exum, with his great and brag-worthy shooting skills, was standing next to the car before he shot her 5 times with 7 shots. But I guess he's bragging about his up-close shooting skills. Was the purpose of your shooting to murder her? Or was it to, graze her chest and shoot some bullets through her arms, maybe 5, 6 times in her body? Was that the idea? I'm such a crack shot, I can almost murder someone, even though I'm really trying to, because I'm a hothead and I feel like I have the ability to do anything I want under Donald Trump's regime. His fascism allows me to go kill people and then brag about it in court and say, yo, I just need to relieve some stress. So imagine you walk into the street, shoot him, and then say, you know what? I just need to release some stress. So I texted my cousins about it and said, did you see that? Shot that sumbitch 6 times. Great times, huh? Wasn't that wonderful? I go to the shooting range all the time. I'm glad I finally got a chance to shoot flesh and blood rather than a paper object. Do you think they'd be okay with that? Matter of fact, the way that they do things, ramming into people's cars, snatching them out and shooting them, it's actually, it's protocol for ICE agents. But he was Border Patrol. It's all the same at this point. Here's one of them proving that.
We probably need to get out of here.
Okay, can I just?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm listening.
We were just driving around. We did see you guys. We were not honking. We were not whistling.
Okay.
We were just trying to figure out if it was you guys.
Yeah.
And you guys stopped in the middle of a road going 35 miles per hour and tried to back up and hit our car.
Okay, so
I'm just trying to figure out why that is happening and why you're putting people at risk like that.
So here's the thing: they weren't trying to hit your car; they were trying to stop you. All right. So
have you heard of police officers? I mean, ones that do things normally. Have you heard of them saying that, yeah, when we tried to just pull you over, we decided to drive in front of you, slam on our brakes so that you could run in the back of us, and then we claim that you harmed us so we can start shooting at you, which you just admitted to. Well, they weren't trying to hit you. What they were trying to do was stop you by hitting you. And we just stop random people because we don't like the looks on their faces. Again, that woman asked them, we're driving through here, bro. We've seen these videos. We've seen how they've been attacking folks and then claim that they've been harmed by them. In fact, they claim that the same woman that they shot this many times harmed them. But maybe this is the most telling part about this whole thing. You guys heard about how they shot her. You heard about how he bragged about it. What do you think they charged her with? And do you think it's stuck?
Thursday night, there was suddenly a major shift. The case was dropped, and at the request of the prosecution, despite the case being dismissed, DHS stuck to their original accusations. On October 4th, Border Patrol law enforcement officers were ambushed by domestic terrorists that rammed federal agents with their vehicles. The woman, Marimar Martinez, driving one of the vehicles, was armed with a semi-automatic weapon and has a history of doxing federal agents. We will not allow domestic terrorists to attack our law enforcement. This was after you were cleared of these charges.
Where are they getting all this fake information from? I was just shocked, honestly.
While a gun was found in her car, it was never brought out. It was still inside a holster with the snap closed. She also has her concealed carry license, her attorney says.
They're still putting out these false statements that are disputed by their own people, right? Agent Exum testified that there was no ramming. I mean, he's the driver. He was there.
It's a propaganda administration. They're here to present something else besides what their facts are. The prosecution dropped the case. It wasn't like a judge dismissed it. It wasn't like the defense found a way to get it thrown out. The prosecution, the folks who said she did what they claimed she did, dropped that case. And afterwards, DHS is still talking about how it's her fault. Isn't that weird? How is it that your own side of this argument drops it and then you still go with it? Because the point is not to win in court. The point is to try and win in the public opinion, and to push more propaganda on people to think that they're doing stuff on the up and up. It's why they're so upset when people reveal more truth. It's why they're so upset when people film it, because they can't lie if the video shows the exact opposite. This is how it continues on. The FBI also piggybacked on to keeping this same narrative, even though the case was dropped.
Remember, this was a case that the FBI director, Kash Patel, was tweeting about with the wrong video, by the way, in a tweet that is still up. I asked the FBI about it today, and they didn't have a comment. But remember, this case was also cited by the Trump administration as part of their appeal to the Supreme Court as for why they believed the National Guard needed to be here. So a case of extreme significance.
That's the point. They're going to use this case as part of the reasons why they say the National Guard should be in these cities. The case that was dropped by the same people who said this case is the reasons why National Guard should be in American cities, specifically in that case, Chicago. Does it make any sense? It doesn't make sense in court ever, and they keep losing in court because it doesn't make any sense there. They need you to hear that they're saying this is one of the reasons why we need them in cities, and you're supposed to buy it. Well, again, as I said the other day, good news is nobody's buying it anymore. Anybody who's still buying it is not because they've been convinced of it. It's because they like to see scenes where women are shot in their cars, where another woman in Chicago was snatched and dragged out of her car when she was headed to work. All these scenes where they're attacking women, and on top of that, children. Yes, the liars that are in this administration attack anybody that's the most vulnerable because they're cowards, because they need stress-relieving brag sessions about who they've shot. Here's another scene of the way the kids have to react to these assholes.
Here, you can get out to the back door. Vete a tu casa, ¿sí, mamá? Todos en la casa. Everybody go home, okay? Go a la casa. Come on. Andy! 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 She don't live here. You don't live here? in. You live here?
Elementary school aged kids having to jump off the emergency exit of a bus as if it's been in an accident or it's on fire because ICE agents or DHS or Border Patrol are hanging around because, violent people are near. Had no idea. That little girl in the back end had no idea what was going on. She just was scared. The alarm is going off, and the adults are telling them, hurry up, jump off the back before the bad guys get here. You think those kids are gonna never forget this moment, never forget what their country's doing to them? They won't. But that's the idea. They don't want those folks to ever grow up to think we need to change the way these things are. They want them to just be, submissive and be under the rule of this fascist dictator in the White House. Isn't it crazy? But you know what? Just like what they did with that woman who they shot, they'll probably say things like, those kids looked at us weird way. Did you see that kid stick his tongue out at us when we drove by that school bus? His dad must be illegal. Must be kidnapping folks the way that we're doing every day. A little bit more of their approach to kids. I want to show you guys the extent to which this this group of terrorists runs through and terrorizes children. They do it regularly. This is just the times that we see it. MS Now did the front piece.
Hey guys, we have a report. The ICE is on campus. Everybody inside. Doors closed. We're not letting anybody in.
Those were the scenes here in Charlotte, North Carolina, when Border Patrol was spotted on the premises of this nonprofit, which provides childcare services for the children of refugees and immigrants.
They do not honor children. They do not care about the humanity of children.
But this nonprofit is not letting fear stop them from making a difference. We've seen volunteers all day packing up items, donated items like beans, like oil, cereal. Come look over here, water, coffee, milk, everyday goods that parents are afraid to go out of their homes to get for their children in fear and uncertainty that they might not be able to come back home.
We have had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people either donating, volunteering. We also want to make sure that our families know that when they're home right now, afraid and scared and feeling like they have to stay in, there's people who have that privilege who are all around the city coordinating and doing things for them.
It's a daycare for children of refugees who are running from potentially political violence, targeted violence, and a disabled government and leadership, fear of death and persecution for no reason. So they come to the United States of America for a fear of death and persecution and separation from their children, for being refugees. We've seen it many times. We see folks leaving their appearances at court. We see them leaving their normal procedures for immigration processes that they've been going through without missing a beat. And you see these guys standing outside ready to violently attack, strangle, and throw them to the ground to arrest them for nothing, for existing, and then taking them from their kids. And now they're coming after the kids in these facilities or in this daycare center to be helped. Hey, here's the least surprising part. I'm gonna wrap with this. Here's the least surprising part. The folks doing this, who are attacking these kids and are traumatizing them, and also these folks that are working, they're lying. It's weird, huh?
Now, in a statement, the Department of Homeland Security has denied targeting a daycare center, but we got a hold of some footage showing Border Patrol agents on the premises of this nonprofit, Our Bridge for Kids.
What you're seeing right now is security footage provided to MS Now from Our Bridge for Kids, which says that this footage depicts Border Patrol agents parking in their parking lot, something they say has happened multiple times this week.
And the need for this food is so great right now because we just got numbers from Charlotte-Mecklenburg Public School District, which showed that as many as 30,000 students were absent from school this week, a full 20% of the student body.
There are kids that just want to talk about Pokemon and K-pop demon hunters.
They want to talk about their Halloween candy that they brought for lunch. They want to talk about what the read aloud book is. You know, they want to just be children, and we're robbing them of that.
I feel like that's the plan. Again, so you see they lie. We're not showing up and attacking these folks in schools. We've seen the video of them going up into a preschool and snatching one of the teachers out of that as well too. They just lie. So again, the parting thoughts here. There's no reason to believe anything this administration says from top to bottom and anywhere in between, because everything they do is based in dishonesty, violence, and a breaking of laws. So in order to try and make that palatable, they have to lie about what is that they just did. So they also lie about running up into this school too, as I guess they don't care that there's surveillance cameras that shows everyone they're hanging out and posting up in their parking lot, waiting to attack. So that maybe one of these coward assholes can go home and text his support group, stress relief group, about how he attacked a 7-year-old kid because he's a big man. What little coward pieces of shit these guys are. Their comeuppance is coming. Trust. It's about time for us to stop allowing them to do this. And I think it's been happening. We just need more elected officials to do something actionable about this. They're just kind of sitting back and waiting. I don't know. I don't know the processes. So I guess the judgment has to be reserved for a minute. That's it though, you guys. I'm not going to go over too much. That's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed. Over on TDR, I believe we've got Jordan filling in for John today, I think is what John mentioned yesterday. Go hang out. Tell them I say hey too. Tell them JR and the partiers are here only like a couple minutes late. I'm gonna try and hang out with you guys over there for a few minutes too. But until tomorrow, the last day, by the way, last day of the week for me doing live streams is tomorrow. I'm not doing live streams on Thursday and Friday. I'm gonna be trying to eat and not think about all this madness, but I'm gonna be on my phone looking up all the madness anyway. Come on, I'm crazy. So tomorrow will be the last live stream of the week, but we'll catch you guys there. And maybe tomorrow should be like a Friday. I don't know. We'll get our drinks. We'll figure it out. We'll see what's happening. But we'll catch you guys then. I appreciate you. We'll see you guys later. And you too, Ma.